Football is a cruel and unforgiving sport. One minute it's Ballon d'Or shouts and record-breaking transfers, and the next minute it's charity matches and chunks cosplays. But as fans, we so often focus on the players who failed to reach their potential and ponder over what could have been. So instead, I'm going to look at the players who seem to hit rock bottom and manage to make a noticeable comeback. So here's my list of the 8 biggest career revivals in football. At number 8, we have Adnan Januzaj. If you're a granddad like me, then you'll remember the Belgian winger's breakthrough season in 2013. Januzaj exploded onto the scene, scoring a brace in a 2-1 win over Sunderland in his first ever start for the club, and quickly secured a starting spot under coach David Moyes. Unfortunately, the performances quickly diminished. United slipped from first in the table to 7th, which would be a miracle nowadays, and David Moyes was sacked by the club. This would spell bad news for the Belgian, as new manager Louis van Gaal would bring in a new marquee signing in Angel Di Maria, who was absolutely dreadful, but that's a story for another time. Januzaj's career was turning sour, and after unsuccessful loan spells at Sunderland and Dortmund, United finally sold the winger to Spanish outfit Real Sociedad in 2017 for a modest £8 million. By this point, Januzaj had lost his place in the Belgium squad and hadn't featured for United in almost a year. Things weren't looking too good for him, and this transfer would either make or break his career, and at 23 years old, Januzaj should be reaching his prime. Thankfully, Adnan managed to secure first-team football once again, and even went on to score some crucial goals such as the equalizer against Atletico Madrid in 2020 to lead Sociedad to Europe, and the match winner for Belgium against England 2 years prior, which helped his national side ultimately finish top of their group. Now 30 years old, Januzaj is currently Sevilla's highest-paid player in Spain. At number 7, we have Luca Toni. You wouldn't expect the big Italian goal machine to appear on a list like this. I mean, he guaranteed goals everywhere he played, he's won a treble with Bayern Munich, he was the Champions League top scorer in 2008, and even has a World Cup trophy amongst his many accolades. But something happened at the end of Toni's career that elevated him to the Veteran Hall of Fame. After scoring his 100th Serie A goal for Juventus in 2011, Toni found himself out of favor with new manager Antonio Conte and felt his career was coming to an end. Toni left Italy for Dubai, and everybody thought this would be his retirement home. But Luca had other ideas. Toni scored 5 goals in 10 games for Al Nassr, which gave him the confidence to return home just 6 months later to join former club Fiorentina, but the fairy tale chapter would start the following year. Impressed with his eye for goal despite his age, Toni drew attraction from Hellas Verona, who decided to take a punt on the 36-year-old, and it paid off in phenomenal fashion. Toni dominated the league for the next 2 years, scoring 20 goals in his first season, then finishing Serie A top scorer in his second season with 22 goals, proving to his fans and peers that you can never write off a top striker just because of their age. In at number 6, we have Jesse Lingard. Lingard has had a roller coaster of a journey, if that roller coaster was to derail and land in Korea. Coming through the ranks at United, J Lings was one of the first names on the team sheet under Louis van Gaal at the back end of the 2015 season. However, a poor run of form in the run-up to his prime saw Lingard fall out of favor with the manager, and soon Lingard would be stuck on the bench. The England man needed a caller to save him and his career, and this is where West Ham United came in. The London club took a gamble on the then 28-year-old, signing him on a 6-month loan in January 2021. Lingard hit the ground running, scoring 9 goals in 16 games, and leaving Gareth Southgate no choice but to recall him for the national team. Though this comeback was brief and Lingard would eventually end up playing for Seoul in Korea at 32, it's impossible to overlook this impressive purple patch, but it's safe to say we probably won't see him in an England shirt again. At number 5, we have Xherdan Shaqiri. Shaqiri is something of an enigma in the football world. It's still a mystery to see how a player could go from Champions League football with Bayern Munich, to fighting relegation at Stoke City, to then playing in the Champions League again with Liverpool. It doesn't make sense. Anyway, Shaqiri started his career in his home country at FK Basel, before earning a move to Bayern Munich in 2012. Here he helped the team win 3 Bundesliga trophies, but was unable to nail down his position in the first team, with competition from Frank Ribéry. I mean, come on, it's Frank Ribéry. Seeking more game time, the Swiss winger moved across Europe to Inter Milan in 2015, but only lasted half a season after some poor performances. This is where Stoke pulled off one of the most insane transfers of that time by paying Milan £12 million for his signature. Sadly, Shaqiri couldn't help the Potters avoid the drop in 2018, and Stoke needed to offload the 70 grand a week winger. Liverpool took a punt on the star and paid £13 million as part of his release clause, giving Shaqiri one more chance in the big leagues. Fortunately for Liverpool, the transfer paid off, and Shaqiri would have a successful 3-year spell with the Reds, and played a crucial role in the Champions League semi-final against Barcelona in 2019, the same year that Liverpool would go on to lift the trophy for the first time in 14 years. Now 34 years old, Shaqiri looks like he will see out the rest of his career at his boyhood club Basel back in Switzerland, and has continued his impressive form into his mid-30s. And in at number 4, we have Nemanja Matic. The towering Serb made a name for himself in the Portuguese league as a tactical, yet physical, holding midfielder with a rocket of a left boot. Signing for Mourinho's Chelsea in 2014, Matic would go on to be a crucial player in their 2 Premier League successes. Fun fact, Nemanja Matic had already played for Chelsea previously in his career in 2009 and was even involved in the deal to bring David Luiz to Stamford Bridge. Hey, subscribe for more fun facts. Anyways, Mourinho fancied him so much that he even brought Nemanja over to Man United with him in the summer of 2017 for a whopping £40 million fee. Unfortunately, the transfer didn't work out, and the midfielder would be another victim of United's turbulent period. Let's take a moment of silence for the players ruined by United during the mid-2010s. Harrowing stuff. After falling out of favor at United under the new regime of Ole, Mourinho signed Matic for a 3rd time at Roma and instantly found his mojo again. His leadership and experience were crucial to Roma's European Cup success in 2022. At 37 years old, Nemanja Matic is still playing in Italy for Serie A side Sassuolo. On to number 3, we have Santi Cazorla. This one doesn't quite follow the same theme of a player losing form or seeming to flop at a new club, but rather is a happy comeback story after a difficult time with frustrating injuries. Santi Cazorla started his professional career at Spanish outfit Villarreal, and after an impressive year at Malaga, the midfield maestro signed for Arsenal in 2012, becoming an instant hit with the fans. His flair and precision passing was exactly what Arsenal needed during their back-to-back FA Cup victories in 2014 and 2015. It was in the following year in 2016 where the troubles began, where Santi suffered an Achilles tendon injury during a Champions League game versus Ludogorets. What seemed to be a minor injury soon turned into every sports player's worst nightmare. Cazorla endured 10 surgeries on his Achilles due to multiple bacterial infections, and surgeons had to remove 8 centimeters of his tendon during the excruciating procedure. After almost losing his leg due to gangrene, surgeons used a skin graft from his arm to reconstruct the skin and tendon, destroying the arm tattoo of his daughter in the process. The doctors warned that Cazorla would be lucky to ever walk again, never mind returning to the pitch, and his career was certainly over at 33 years old. Miraculously, Santi had other ideas, and after some extreme rehabilitation and 2 years on the sideline, the veteran would return to football, signing a 1-year deal with his boyhood club. Expectations were realistically low given the trauma he had experienced, but Cazorla proved everybody wrong by hitting the best form of his life in his mid-30s, receiving a contract extension, earning a Spain call-up for the first time in 4 years, and helping Villarreal to a Europa League final in 2021. Cazorla's Villarreal chapter wasn't just revival, it was reinvention. He played 119 games, adding 17 goals and 24 assists, proving age and injury couldn't dim his creativity. Number 2, it's Henrik Mkhitaryan. Mickey had one of the most forgettable spells in the Premier League for a player who spent a combined 4 years at Man United and Arsenal, which is what makes it more shocking to think what he achieved before and after this period. Scouted by Jurgen Klopp at Dortmund in 2013, the Armenian was a huge fan favorite at the German side, and it wasn't long before Premier League clubs were desperate to sign him. Man United were the preferred outfit, with Mourinho bringing him to Old Trafford for £23.5 million. Mikkels couldn't replicate his form, and soon the fans turned on him, even booing the player off the field following a poor performance against Man City in 2017. After falling out of the starting lineup, Mourinho wanted rid of the attacking midfielder. 2 years after signing for the Red Devils, Mickey was used as part of a swap deal with Alexis Sanchez, hoping to salvage his Premier League career at league rivals Arsenal. Sadly, things turned from bad to worse for Henrik, missing more than 20 matches through injury and failing to match Emery's tactical setup. Despite a successful loan spell at Roma, Arsenal terminated his contract, and Mickey would never return to the Prem. But what happened afterwards proved that some players thrive after turning 30. The player was signed permanently by Roma and remained for a further 2 years and played a crucial role in their Europa Conference League victory in 2022. Now playing at Inter Milan at 36 years old, Mickey has been a key player in Milan's domestic successes, as well as playing a vital, more defensive role in their road to the Champions League final last season. And finally, at number 1, it's Ousmane Dembele. From Europe's hottest prospect to the biggest flop in the history, to winning the single biggest individual honor in football, the Frenchman has had a roller coaster journey and is still only 28 years old. Signing for Barcelona from Dortmund for €105 million in 2017, Dembele carried the weight of the world on his shoulders as the second most expensive signing of all time, and unfortunately he couldn't live up to the expectations. Dubbed as the biggest flop in history by fans and pundits, the winger suffered 6 years of hell in Spain, with poor performance after poor performance. This is why Barcelona fans were delighted to recoup half of the fee they paid for him when French side PSG offered 50 million euros for Ousmane in 2023, but nobody could have predicted what would happen next. Dembélé became an instant hit back in his home country, winning Player of the Tournament for his performances in the Champions League last season and picking up the Ballon d'Or award along his way. He has already eclipsed his goal record in a third of the time he spent at Barcelona, and we hope he can continue this impressive form for the rest of his career. And that completes our list. I make similar videos like this, so go check them out on my channel, and as always, thanks for watching.